Thank you. So good to be here to welcome Shabbat and also to be here to enter into our Elul practice, which I feel like is so much important to open up this kind of an inner landscape, to do the heart work, to create kind of the soil of the heart that can be the soil of transformation for the whole year. So we're kind of working the soil. We're creating the atmosphere inside us, so that whatever happens, we can use it for our own awakening, for our own transformation. So I wanted to bring to you first a practice, and Harry, you can share the screen for this, that I call sowing our tears. And our sowing our tears is from Psalm 126, and it's an amazing pasuk, a sacred phrase that lets us know the possibility of transformation. And it says, "Those who sow in tears will reap in joyous song." But the problem is that some tears lie fallow and they dissolve into dust, or they splatter on the pavement and they're not planted. So these tears leave us bitter and exhausted. Yet when we know our tears as precious, they can be carefully and tenderly planted. So we can do this planting for one another by giving each other the kind of attention that creates the fertile ground for tears. By acknowledging the value of grief as tears flow through us, we can plant each tear as a seed of joy. Our grieving can wash us clean, open the ground of our hearts, and clear the way for new life, new song, and surprising joy. So with this practice, I reach into the stored memories of grief. I re-encounter my own tears, shed and unshed, and know my tears as precious seeds that can grow into greater love and compassion for myself and others. So as we chant these sacred words, I want to say to let the power of your grief pour through your voice and your presence. Memories fuel the intention. The intention is to surrender to the power of transformation. So we'll chant these words for a few minutes and enter the silence with an intention to be in the place of cultivating that inner garden, like creating the soil for transformation to occur. And we'll sit in that silence for a while, allowing that energy to move through us, and with that intention of opening to possibilities in each moment, with each breath. And into the silence, at some point, I'm going to read the words of the prophet Jeremiah, which are favorite words of mine that are said on the second day of Rosh Hashanah to get us ready for Rosh Hashanah. And in those words, he also lifts up this possibility that says, "I will turn their mourning into joy." So after hearing the words of Jeremiah in our sacred meditative space, we'll then chant these words from Jeremiah to close our practice. So beginning with this amazing possibility of metabolizing our trauma, of integrating that place of grief so that it can become a place of possibility. Azorim bedima berina yitzoru Azorim bedima berina Hazorim berina iksoru hazori bedima berina iksoru. So join me and pour your heart into these words. Hazorim bedima berina iksoru hazorim bedima berina iksoru hazorim bedima berina iksoru hazorim bedima berina iksoru. Chant it once more with all your heart. Hazorim bedima berina iksoru hazorim bedima berina iksoru hazorim bedima berina iksoru hazorim bedima berina iksoru. And as we enter the silence, begin by bringing your attention to the breath. Imagine the breath breathing into the heart, finding in your heart the fertile ground that you are preparing for those seeds. And as you breathe into the heart, allow that ground to be known in its richness, in its love, and its compassion. And you can just be with what is, knowing that those seeds are held, knowing the possibility of transformation within you, and breathing into it. Let the words from the prophet Jeremiah enter your meditative space of your inner garden. You have found grace in the very same wilderness where you experienced such suffering, and through it all I have loved you. Again and again I will rebuild where you have been broken. The women of Israel will once again dress up in flowing rhythm and go out and dance with timbrel, drum, and unbounded joy. Again you will plant vineyards, and there will come a day when we're surrounded by the fruit of your plantings. You will call out to one another, "Arise, let's go to our God, our truth, our essence." And here I am calling you forth from your hidden places, from the far corners of the world, the blind, the lame, the wild, the tame together, pregnant women, birthing women together. What an amazing family returning to me, to each other. When they come weeping, I will comfort them. I will lead them to streams of water by the straight path. I will not let them stumble or stray, for they are precious to me. Hear this truth and spread it to far places. Though you have been scattered, I will gather you up. I will redeem you from the strong hand of fear. And then you will come singing to the heights, and then you will flow down like rivers toward the rich valleys of goodness, full of wine and fine oil and newborn life. Then the women will sweetly dance, luring the old and young together. I will turn their mourning into joy. I will call out comfort and celebration from the heart of their pain. I will satisfy the appetite of priestly souls with great abundance, and all my people will taste this goodness. A voice is heard in Ramah, wailing, bitter weeping, Rachel weeping for her children, refusing comfort, for they are gone. And God calls to her, "Take away the weeping from your voice, the tears from your eyes. There will be great reward for all your heart work, for all your devotion. I say to you, they will return from the land of enmity. And yes, there's hope for your future. The children will return, for I have heard them coming. The voice of your child says, 'Help me come back to you, for I am yours.' I turned around and realized the foolishness of my wandering youth. Help me to come back to you." And I answer each of them, saying, "Don't you know that you are my precious child, the one that I delight in? When we speak with each other, remembrance brings you near to me, and my innermost being encircles you with love." Vafakti evlam lissason, I will turn their mourning into joy. Vafakti evlam lissason, vafakti evlam lissason, vafakti evlam lissason, lissason. I will turn their mourning into joy. Vafakti evlam lissason, vafakti evlam lissason, vafakti I will turn the morning into joy. The Fakti have loved the song. The Fakti have loved the song. Join me. The Fakti have loved the song. It's a song. I will turn the morning into joy. The Fakti have loved the song. The Fakti have loved the song. The Fakti have loved the song. The song. I will turn the morning into joy. The Fakti have loved the song. The Fakti have loved the song. The Fakti have loved the song. The song. I will turn the morning into joy. The Fakti have loved the song. The Fakti have loved the song. The Fakti have loved the song. The song. I will turn the morning into joy. And as we turn back to the gallery view to see all of these beautiful faces, I just want to be able to connect and say, oh, I will plant those seeds for you. I will become the fertile ground so that the seeds of your grief can become the joy of your life. So we make that promise to each other.
Thank you so much, Shefa. Again, it's guiding us so beautifully. And speaking of mourning, we make time at the conclusion of our practice and seal the practice with an opportunity to honor the grief of those who are in mourning and those observing a yahrzeit, or anyone for whom it's the custom of joining the mourner's Kaddish. We make space for that. And as Shefa just said, those who are not reciting Kaddish can create the ground for those tears of that grief to take root and hopefully ultimately bring forth joy for them. So you can put the name or names of those you're honoring in the chat now or after you recite Kaddish. We thank Harry for sharing the words of the mourner's Kaddish on the screen. And if you're joining me, please rise in body or in spirit. You can unmute at this time. And just note that I'll sound the shofar as we continue through the month of Elul after we conclude the Kaddish. Yitgadal, Yamad Yivrach Alinu Ya'ko Yisrael, Ya'ko Yoshvei Tevel, Amru, Amen.
Amen.
As I mentioned, I'll sound the shofar now. I want to thank our teacher for today, Rabbi Shefa Gold, as always, for guiding us so beautifully and so soulfully today, and Harry Gobal for holding our text base, and Pat Scala for sponsoring our practice today. And if you're leaving us, I'm going to put in the chat a lineup of our teachers for next week, another beautiful week of practice guided by Rabbi Jenny Solomon and Cantor Julie Newman, Cantor Care Spencer Shapiro, Sabrina Sojourner, and a week from today, Rabbi Sam Feinsmith. But of course, we hope that you'll stay on just to continue to let the reverberations of the chanting and of the stillness stay with you in the container of our little community of practice here, or join us for some conversation and reflection on the teaching today. And if you have a question for Shefa you'd like me to work into our conversation, please put it in the chat and preface it by writing question all in caps, and I'll do my best to add your question. Shefa, thanks so much. The thought that came up as I was listening at the beginning was the teaching that's ascribed to the Kotzker Rebbe, Menachem Mendel, about nothing, there being nothing as whole as a broken heart, as that goes with this beautiful teaching about tears. And also thinking about the shofar and the broken notes of the shofar, sandwiched between the whole notes of the shofar, and how important it is to allow ourselves to acknowledge and deeply feel the brokenness, particularly at this time of year. So I want to thank you for creating this space, and more than that, literally the vibe that allows that to happen. So the question I have is, I love this image of what is it that prepares the ground to absorb the tear as opposed to like bounce off the sidewalk, right? Versus and sink into the ground. How would you describe that, you think? How do you know when the tears are, when the tears are serving one purpose, or we're calling wallowing in our grief? How would you describe that? If I've said
From my own story is that I used to cry a lot when I was young, and I was really filled with shame about it. Because I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. If I saw somebody crying, I would cry. It was just sort of like this, and I felt shame around it. And then when I met my husband Rachmiel, like everything changed, because if I cried, he he listened in a way and affirmed my tears in a way that it was like that it was a good thing. He would be like, yes, yes, go for it. Like he knew that it wasn't that the tears could be transformed into
mm-hmm,
tears of release of the grief
mm-hmm,
rather than the wallowing in it. And it was the atmosphere that he created around it that was so, sort of like no shame involved. Actually, this is like a really, from his point of view, was really a great thing that was happening. And that sort of changed me. And I realized the power of it to move me. But it only happened, when I was in the presence of someone who kind of created that garden there. And so then I realized, like, I could create that for other people as well. And so that those tears would not be a source of shame, but would be kind of like an exciting, wonderful process of moving through and transforming and releasing and making room for new life. That's my
Um,
story, and that's
that's
why.
a thanks for sharing that, and it's it's beautiful, and I'll be honest, like because I not it's for me. I don't want to get gender essentialist about it either, because it's they're often very blocked for me, probably also because of shame. And I wonder about people want to invite people to share in the chat, your experience with that, about, the relationship between shame and um, freedom and ease of allowing that kind of lubricant of the soul to flow in that way. And also, in response to the question I just put to you, like Patricia put a beautiful answer here. Like, how do you know when the soil, when it's dropped, when it's the tears are soaking into the soil versus bouncing off the asphalt, when the loss is felt with the whole self, I think also is a very beautiful response, Patricia. Thank you for that. Um, but here's another, here on the other hand, here's a on the other hand. Um, do you think uh what would you say? I mean, I guess for some people it may be different. That is that the tears flow so easily, right? So deep in the empathy or whatever, just we're so much in touch with pain and hurt and grief that they flow so easily. I don't know, like, do you have a suggestion
Well,
for people in that
because
category?
that's the beginning. The tears are the
Yeah.
beginning. Then comes
Hmm.
the process of transformation. It's like when I release, then I want to, whenever I release anything, I want to be
Hmm.
able to bring God's presence into that space that 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 where it was. Like I'm releasing
Hmm.
something, and there's a space in me that is created, and that's where I want to bring the presence of God, the sense of being held, um,
Right.
sense of being accompanied through this passage, and to know that it is a process, and to give myself to the process of it with a kind of a confidence that there is more love on the other side. That I want to move through this without shame, with all of me. And I think that listening to Jeremiah really
Hmm.
helps me. Like that. I mean, I did. It's a kind of an translation interpretation of the Jeremiah Haftorah. Um, but um, he, I hear those words, and it kind of frees me in some way from my own stories.
Hmm.
Like there is this bigger story God is saying, that you're a part of, and I want to give myself to that bigger story.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, totally makes sense. I'm thinking, there's something in that Haftarah, which is so beautiful and so comforting. Um, uh, but there's a line there actually where I think it says, stop don't basically stop your tears. I was wondering about that, like like whether there's a regulation. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that,
Yeah,
in light of this teaching. What does it mean to have a message? Stop, stop crying, it's going to be all right.
well, it depends on the quality of this. There's certain places that I can indulge in, meaning like that
Right.
I'm sort of stuck in my story and it keeps going
Right.
round and round in my head.
Uh-huh.
Rather than to, I'm an energy worker, so I see it all as energy.
Hmm.
I'm moving energy through me, and
Mm.
it's only when energy gets stuck that there's something to worry about. So
So so
that's what.
noticing that, well, maybe that's when the tears aren't, doing their thing. They're not going into the ground. So how would you say it's hard, this is not easy to use words to answer, but how is there something that helps you discern when that's happening?
There's a kind of a movement inside me that, and again, it's it's my trust in the process of it. And it means like that I'm not in charge of the timing of things. I want to give myself to that process with that sense of like, I've lived long enough to have been devastated a number of times, and I know that I come through it with more life, more compassion. So I call on that experience to that allows me to trust what I'm feeling. And the idea is to feel what you're feeling rather than so much energy is often is about trying not to feel what I'm feeling, really.
Hmm.
So when I'm not trying to not feel, and I just allow the feeling to happen, it there's a sense that this is how God is showing up for me right now as this feeling, and I'm welcoming it rather than pushing it away. And the things that we do to stop feeling are that we try to numb ourselves or distract ourselves. And those are the things that are self destructive. And so when we stop numbing or distracting and just feel what we're feeling with support, and I think that's key, then there is a movement inside that maybe that's the road to our joy, which the joy means our true self that has been kind of occluded by the you know
Yeah.
by
So
the
also I was thinking, so you have an app with chants and practices for praise, gratitude, and
love,
love, right?
love. And there's
Yeah.
the new app is called
Yeah.
the magic and magic and the medicine of the Psalms, which is going to be out within the next couple of months, and it
Right.
takes us through 8 different pathways:
Wow.
gratefulness, praise, supplication, lament, exaltation, revelation, comfort, and encouragement. And
What I was
each
going to say is you don't have one for grief
well,
or
yeah,
about heartbreak. So
it's
that's what was interesting.
it is
Um,
it is there.
what do you make of that?
Um,
Where's the is the psalm did the Psalms touch on that
yeah,
on what we're doing
yeah,
today?
yeah. The supplication and the lament part of it
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
how we use the Psalms in order to move through those passages that are difficult,
Right.
and draw on the resilience of our ancestors who went through those passages and came into this place of greater life.
Yeah. Well, that
So
really seems like that's to me at least, that feels like that's what speaks to this moment, where we are at the end of this year, where the heartbreak about so many things is so immense. And
so the idea is you
just
don't push it away, but you also
right.
there are joys every day that we
Hmm.
also need to feel those joys and
Hmm.
celebrate each day. It doesn't. They don't. You know. Um, it's not like one or the other.
Right.
I'm
Well, there are
I'm
tears, and there are tears. There's tears for that too. That was the other thing I was going to ask you about was what do you make of today we've been focusing, I think, about tears of heartbreak and grief, but tears of joy, tears of laughter, tears of
yeah,
wonder, tears of awe,
yeah, yeah. Feel it all.
tears
Feel
for
it
all
all.
occasion.
Feel it all without shame and move it through. Because that's the path of transformation.
I just watched this documentary um, called Group Therapy, which, by the way, I recommend to people. That features these comedians, very well-known comedians, um, doing this kind of group therapy with Neil Patrick Harris as the therapist. But mostly they're exploring the intersection between I think they describe it as mental illness, but depression, anxiety, and sadness, deep sadness, and their comedy, which, as I'm thinking about it as you're talking about the inextricable connection between heartbreak, fear, pain, sadness, and laughter and joy. And there's something about watching them and their complete vulnerability, willingness to just reveal their soul, that really just makes quite plain that, that connection, between peers and joy that we've been practicing
So that
today.
it inspires you, but also to inspire to create a space where that's all, you know,
Yeah.
okay. So like when I grew up in my conservative synagogue in New Jersey, I felt like all of that, those laughter and tears didn't feel welcome in
Mm.
that space. There was no space for that. And so I want to create spaces where, where the inner movement can happen without shame and with the trust in the process of transformation.
Well, you do, and we're grateful to you for it. So thanks, Shefa. And that's what we try to do here, of course, every day as well. And grateful for the blessing and the opportunity to do that.
Thank
Uh,
you so much.
Someone's still asking the name of it. The movie is called Group Therapy. I think there are a few things called Group Therapy, but this is a documentary. Um, anyway, for those who are looking for
Check it
weekend
out.
viewing, we always have a few
And,
suggestions
and then
for.
you could see the movie Bad Shabbos.
Oh yeah, you put that in that category too,
Well,
or it's
to
just
laugh,
your
to laugh,
recommendation. Okay,
just to
I
laugh,
like this. I
just to
like this on
laugh.
Fridays. We could start, and people get goes to laugh is good. And okay, we'll start a new thread here in the chat on Fridays. So if you know what to stream this weekend, no extra charge for that, folks. Once again, thanks to Harry for holding our space. Thanks to all of you for sharing this space, which enables us to hopefully access as much of what we're feeling as possible in a safe and contained and supportive space.
Yeah.
And sorry, Shepa.
I was just going to say that I once, when my mother, maybe may her memory be a blessing. I once brought her to the Aquarian Minyan High Holy Days, and she was part of this conservative shul that she didn't really enjoy very much, and she came to our service, and at the end of the service, she turned to me and she said, "I didn't know religion had anything to do with feelings." Because we,
Mm,
because we were
mm.
all like kind of raising up our feelings, and she
Well,
had
see
no
that I
idea.
can cry about. I can
She
cry about
had,
that.
she had no idea that religion and feelings could go together, and that's the tikkun. I think is like
Yeah,
just
that's a
bringing
bit tikkun.
the fullness of what we feel into
Yeah,
our prayer.
I'm in. I'm in. All right. Well, not bad Shabbos. Good Shabbos, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. We
Shabbat
hope to see you
shalom.
all on Monday to practice with Rabbi Jenny Solomon. Everyone be
Should I
safe and well until
send you
then.
out with that chant?
Please. Yes.
V'afakti evlam l'sasol. I will turn their mourning into joy. V'afakti evlam l'sasol. V'afakti evlam l'sasol. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. See you on Monday.